At the department happy hour, my coworker raised his glass and joked, "To the girl who brings the cookies and tries so hard to be liked, bless your heart, maybe one day you'll get invited to the big meetings too." Everyone laughed. Then he turned and said, "Relax, it's a compliment. You're basically our emotional support intern." I let him finish his drink, then I pulled out my flash drive and played the recording of him saying, "Let's just blame it on her, no one will question it." He dropped his glass before the video even ended. "Hey Reddit. I've never posted here before, but I need to get this story out. It's been eating me alive for months, and now that the dust has settled a bit, I think I'm finally ready to talk about what happened. This isn't a revenge fantasy. This is my life. Every word is true. And it all started with a stupid cookie and a smug smile. I started working at this mid-sized tech company in Raleigh, North Carolina, almost a year ago. After taking 5 years off to care for my mom through chemo and surgeries, getting back into the job market wasn't easy. People talk like they respect caretakers, but they don't hire them. I was 32 and applying for entry-level positions just to get my foot back in the door. This place took a chance on me. I was grateful. I came in early, stayed late, helped anyone who asked. I knew I was behind the curve, so I worked twice as hard. I made a point to be kind, bring treats on Fridays, decorate the break room on birthdays. I wasn't trying to be teacher's pet, I just wanted people to see I cared, and that I was worth keeping around. But from day one, Brent decided I was an easy target. Brent was a senior account manager. He wasn't my direct boss, thank God, but he had been there for years, and everyone sort of tiptoed around him. You know the type. Loud voice, power ties, shakes your hand too hard, calls women kiddo and men boss. He wasn't stupid, but he wasn't as smart as he thought he was either. That made him dangerous. I smiled through a lot of his comments at first. Tried to brush them off. Stuff like, "Oh look, cookies again. Trying to make friends the old-fashioned way, huh? Did you color-code these notes? Wow. You really do need to get out more. Tell you what, if I need someone to cry with during layoffs, I'll come find you." People laughed. I laughed too, sometimes. But it got under my skin. I kept telling myself not to rock the boat. I needed the job. I needed the references. My mom's hospital bills had drained everything. Then the Jefferson account came along. This was a big fish, multi-state grocery chain looking for a full rebrand. Brent was leading the pitch. His assistant, Sherry, got COVID the week before the prep work kicked off, and I got pulled in to help. I worked my ass off. I gathered data. Designed pitch decks. Researched their competitors. Wrote talking points. I even caught an error in the branding proposal that would have cost us the whole bid. Brent didn't say thank you. He said, "Good catch. That's why we double-check things." I didn't argue. I just kept going. Then, 3 days before the pitch, we had a review meeting with some of the VPs Brent was presenting. I was there, in the back, quietly taking notes. Midway through, the VP asked where a specific data set was, the one I had spent 2 full nights building from scratch. Brent paused. Then he said, dead serious, "That was supposed to be handled by our temp. Must have slipped through the cracks." The room got quiet. Everyone looked at me. I didn't say anything. I just stared at the notepad in my lap, trying not to let my face show anything. He called me a temp. Like I didn't even work there. I went home that night and cried in my car for a full 20 minutes before going inside. I didn't even tell my mom. She'd just worry. But something inside me snapped. I opened my laptop. Pulled up my emails. Found the one I sent Brent with the data, 2 days before the meeting. Subject line, Jefferson Data Set V4, Final. Time-stamped. Documented. I followed up again the next morning. No reply. And then I remembered something else. Something weird. That week, I had been testing out a screen recorder app to take notes during Zoom meetings. I had it running during one of the team calls, just for myself. I checked the file. At about 43 minutes in, Brent's camera was off, but his mic was live. He was talking to someone, I think it was Dan from finance. They were laughing. Brent said, "Clear as day, let's just blame it on her. No one will question it." Dan laughed. "That's cold." Brent chuckled. "Please. She's lucky we let her sit at the table." Emotional support intern vibes. I watched that clip over and over again. It wasn't just petty anymore. It was calculated. He knew he was throwing me under the bus. He thought no one would ever hear it. I didn't know what to do at first. HR wouldn't care, Brent was tight with the head of the department. Reporting it would just make me look sensitive. Emotional. You know, the thing he accused me of being. The thing everyone already believed. So I waited. Then came the department happy hour. Everyone was there. Brent was loud as usual. He bought the first round and made his way from table to table like he was running for mayor. I stayed in the back, nursing a ginger ale, trying not to be noticed. At some point, Brent stood up at the bar, raised his glass, and said loud enough for everyone to hear. "To the girl who brings the cookies and tries so hard to be liked, bless your heart, maybe one day you'll get invited to the big meetings too." People laughed. Not everyone. But enough. He turned toward me, still grinning, and added, "Relax, it's a compliment. You're basically our emotional support intern." I don't know what came over me. I didn't feel embarrassed. I didn't cry. I felt calm. I let him finish his drink. Then I stood up, walked over to the bar, and asked the bartender if I could plug in a flash drive. He looked confused, but I told him it was a fun clip from work I wanted to show. He shrugged and handed over the AUX. I pulled up the audio file. Hit play. The room went dead silent. "Let's just blame it on her. No one will question it." Someone gasped. Someone else said, "Is that Brent?" Brent's face went white. His glass slipped out of his hand and shattered on the floor. But that was just the beginning. After the recording played, nobody said a word. Not at first. Then Brent muttered, "What the hell is this?" His voice cracked. I didn't answer him. I just looked around the room, at the coworkers who used to laugh at his jokes. A few of them couldn't even look at me. Some looked straight at him, shocked. Dan from finance, yeah, the one in the recording, he got up and left the bar without a word. Brent stepped toward me. "You seriously recorded a private meeting?" "That's illegal." I stared at him. It was a team Zoom call. My mic was muted, your camera was off. You didn't say it was off the record. He opened his mouth like he wanted to argue, but he couldn't find the words. His face was red. His hands were shaking. People were still watching. He finally stormed out of the bar. I stayed. I finished my drink. Nobody talked to me. It was fine. By the time I got home, my phone had 3 messages from Brent. "We need to talk." "I'm serious, you could be fired for that. Let's meet tomorrow and figure out how to clean this up." I didn't reply. I just emailed the clip to myself from a burner account and kept a copy on a cloud drive. Then I turned off my phone. The next morning at work, the energy was weird. People avoided eye contact. Some whispered in the halls. Brent didn't show up. At 10:14 a.m., I got called into HR. I walked in prepared. Brought printed copies of the emails I had sent Brent with the Jefferson data. I had the Zoom transcript. I had everything. HR was polite, but cold. The woman I met with, Cynthia, barely looked up from her notes. "We're aware of an incident involving a recording you played at a social event last night," she said. Several employees reported that it made them uncomfortable. I nodded. I understand. I only played it because Brent was publicly humiliating me, again. This has been going on for months. She blinked. Why didn't you report it earlier? I didn't think anyone would believe me. But the recording is real. So are the emails. I did the work on the Jefferson account. Brent lied. Then he mocked me in front of the team. Cynthia looked down. Scribbled something. I also have documentation showing he took credit for my work, I added. And tried to blame me when he got caught unprepared. Would you like those copies? Her hand froze. Yes. I handed them over. She didn't say much after that, just that they'd be reviewing everything and that I should continue my work as normal. But things didn't go back to normal. Brent didn't come back that week. Rumor was he was working from home. But nobody confirmed it. Then, on Friday, the email went out, Brent K. is no longer employed with the company, effective immediately. We wish him well in his future endeavors. I didn't celebrate. I just stared at the screen. A few people congratulated me quietly in the break room. One guy, Tom from IT, patted my shoulder and said, "Took guts." That guy had it coming. But it didn't feel like a win. Because it wasn't over. The week after Brent left, I started getting pushback on everything. My meeting invites would accidentally get dropped from the calendar. Projects I had been assigned were suddenly reassigned to other people. I'd get copied on long email chains after decisions were already made. I didn't get fired. But it was like I stopped existing. A week later, I ran into Sherry, Brent's old assistant, in the parking garage. She had just returned from medical leave. She looked around, then leaned in. "You're not crazy," she whispered. "He's been doing this for years. You're just the first person who caught him." I asked her what she meant. She told me that Brent had a pattern. He'd find someone new or quiet or soft, and slowly push them out. Took their ideas, made them look incompetent, turned the team against them. 4 people quit in the last 2 years. All women. All newer hires. HR didn't do a damn thing, she said. They won't fire you now, but watch your back. She walked off before I could say anything. I didn't sleep that night. My stomach was in knots. I felt watched. Isolated. Then something weird happened. The next Monday, I got called into a side room by Cynthia again. She handed me a folder. "We've reopened a number of past HR cases that involved Brent," she said. "Since your incident, more employees have come forward. Some of the documentation you provided overlaps with other reports." I asked what that meant. She said it meant I wasn't the only one. But here's the thing, they didn't apologize. They didn't offer me anything. They just thanked me for raising awareness. I realized then, they were covering their own ass. Brent was a problem they ignored until it became a liability. And now they were watching me. Waiting for me to crack. Or leave. So I made a plan. I didn't leave. That's what they expected, I think. Quiet girls always leave. They either burn out, or they walk away. That's how Brent lasted so long, because the people he targeted always disappeared before anyone had to deal with the mess. But I stayed. And I paid attention. For weeks after Brent was fired, my day-to-day at the office was quiet, but tense. My team acted like I was radioactive. I'd walk into a room and conversations would stop. My manager, Dave, stopped giving me feedback entirely. I became invisible, but watched. Always watched. That's when I started noticing the patterns. Emails getting lost. Files being corrupted. Meeting invites going missing. Things that could be chalked up as mistakes, but happened only to me. And it wasn't just my department. IT started dragging their feet when I needed help. Facilities forgot to fix the busted AC vent over my cubicle even after I filed 3 tickets. My project requests got delayed or rerouted or ignored. It felt coordinated. One afternoon, I stayed late and overheard a conversation through the thin office walls. 2 people from legal were talking. One of them said, "We can't afford another lawsuit. If she escalates, we're screwed." I realized then, I wasn't the problem. I was a threat. They weren't protecting Brent. They were protecting the company's image. Brent was just the first loose thread. Now that he was gone, they wanted to snip the rest of the thread before it unraveled the whole sweater. I didn't know how deep it went. But I was going to find out. So I started documenting everything. Every weird delay. Every glitch. Every incident. I kept logs with dates, times, screenshots. I installed a keylogger on my own machine so I could prove what I'd worked on, when. I saved everything to an encrypted drive at home. And then I found something big. I was digging through archived shared drives, public folders that hadn't been updated in years, and I found an old quarterly summary PDF from 5 years ago. It was from before Brent had moved into his senior role. I don't know why I opened it. Maybe I was just following a hunch. Inside were several projects I recognized. One was nearly identical to a campaign Brent had recently won an award for. But in the original file, the concept was credited to a woman named Marla Keene. I'd never heard of her. So I searched her name in our system. Nothing. Then I tried LinkedIn. And I found her, Marla Keene, former brand strategist for our company. Last active in 2020. Her profile said she was now working at a boutique agency in Asheville. I messaged her. She replied within the hour. I remember Brent. He stole one of my campaigns and took credit for it right before a promotion. HR said they'd investigate, then they stopped returning my emails. I quit 6 weeks later. I didn't have proof, just my word. So I left. We set up a call. She told me everything. The way Brent would trap you in meetings, play dumb, pretend he couldn't find your drafts. Then one day, he'd present your work as his, usually with just enough tweaks to make it unrecognizable at first glance. And if you fought back? You were labeled difficult. Emotional. Not a team player. I told her what I had found. The Zoom clip. The retaliation. The files. Then she said, "You need a lawyer." And that's when everything shifted. Because up until that point, I hadn't thought about lawsuits. I just wanted justice, revenge, even, but now I saw the bigger picture. This wasn't just about Brent. This was a pattern. A culture. A system that punished whistleblowers and rewarded predators. So I contacted a local employment attorney. Told her everything. Showed her the files, the emails, the audio. She listened, then leaned forward and said, "You have enough to build a case. Maybe more than one." But she warned me, it wouldn't be easy. The company would fight back. They'd smear me, dig into my past, try to make me look unstable or ungrateful. That's how these things usually go. Still, I gave her the green light. I wasn't scared anymore. I was pissed. That's when the real retaliation started. Within 2 weeks of contacting the lawyer, my access to certain internal folders was revoked by mistake. I was written up for performance issues on a project I had never even touched. HR sent me a letter warning about inappropriate use of company software. Then came the kicker. Someone from IT tried to remotely wipe my work laptop one Friday afternoon. I got a notification, and my screen started blinking. I yanked the power cord, pulled the hard drive, and ran it straight to my attorney. That was enough. My lawyer filed the paperwork. Wrongful retaliation. Hostile work environment. Whistleblower protections. And then we went a step further. She started contacting the other women who had quietly quit after working under Brent. Some of them still had their old emails. Some had calendars. A few had documents with metadata showing the edits Brent made to plagiarized work. Each of them had a story. Each of them had been pushed out or silenced. And each of them was ready to talk. A group of us met. Offsite, confidentially. We started building a timeline. Names. Dates. Campaigns. Emails. One of the women, Tanya, had tried to go to HR 5 years ago with a harassment complaint. They offered her a small severance and an NDA. She kept the paperwork. It had Brent's name on it. We were connecting dots. Years of them. And the pattern was clear. But just as we were getting ready to go public, someone came after me personally. A manila envelope showed up at my apartment. No return address. Inside were printed screenshots of my old Facebook posts from over a decade ago. Pictures from college parties. A screenshot of a tweet I made in 2014 during a bad breakup. Notes scribbled in red pen. "You want to play dirty?" one note said. "We can too." I knew what this was. They were trying to scare me. But they made one mistake. They forgot who I had become. That envelope was the last straw. I brought it straight to my lawyer. Her face changed when she saw it. This wasn't office politics anymore, this was intimidation. Possibly criminal. She got on the phone with a private investigator the same day. Meanwhile, I made a copy of everything I had. The Zoom video. The internal emails. The folder with Marla's original designs. Tanya's NDA paperwork. Even screenshots of the tampered laptop. I stored it in 3 places, 2 cloud drives, and a hard copy in my mother's fireproof safe. Then I made one more move. I contacted a local investigative journalist. Her name was Claire Monroe. She ran a small, gritty news blog in Raleigh that had broken some serious stories in the last few years: city corruption, hospital fraud, a university cover-up. She didn't work for money. She worked for truth. We met in a diner off I-40. I slid the folder across the table. She didn't blink. Just started reading. For the next 3 weeks, Claire interviewed me, the other women, even a few current employees who were ready to talk off the record. Some were scared. Some were angry. All of them had something to say. She pulled records, old awards, public filings. Found out Brent had won industry recognition based on Marla's campaign. That the company had accepted government grants tied to a diversity and ethics initiative while ignoring HR complaints from women of color, including 2 from our group. When she was done, she had a story 9,000 words long, with files to back up every sentence. The article dropped on a Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. Headline: The cookies, the cover-up, and the career that wasn't his, inside the culture of silence at Barrow and Telford Tech. It exploded. By 9 a.m., it was trending on Twitter. By noon, 3 news stations were calling for interviews. By 3 p.m., Barrow and Telford's website went down. Their PR team scrambled to issue a statement, something cold and robotic about taking allegations seriously and launching a third-party review. Too late. Within a week, the VP who had protected Brent quietly resigned. HR lead Cynthia was suspended pending investigation. Brent's LinkedIn went dark. Rumor was, his new job offer had been revoked. The company's biggest client pulled out of their contract, citing ethical concerns. But that wasn't all. Marla got a public apology and a full recredit for the award-winning campaign. Tanya's NDA was declared invalid due to unlawful coercion. She filed her own separate suit. And me? The board offered me a settlement. A lot of money. I turned it down. Instead, I negotiated something else: public acknowledgement of my role in the Jefferson account. Full reinstatement, back pay, and a promotion to lead strategist. A formal apology delivered via internal memo, company-wide. Mandatory training and an ethics board review. A clause guaranteeing that none of the whistleblowers, me or any of the other women, could face future retaliation. They agreed. Not because they wanted to. Because they had to. And then, once I had all that in writing, I resigned anyway. I didn't want to work there anymore. I just wanted the truth to be known. Brent? He tried to sue me for defamation. The judge threw it out before it even made it to trial. Called the case baseless and embarrassing. Turns out, the PI had found more dirt. A second NDA. Misuse of company funds. He wasn't just a thief. He was a parasite. He vanished after that. Deleted all his social media. Last I heard, he was driving Uber in Jacksonville and ranting on Reddit about corporate cancel culture. As for me? I took some time off. I traveled with my mom, finally. We went to Colorado. She saw snow for the first time in years. I kept in touch with the other women. We meet up once a month, still. Marla started her own creative agency and hired 2 of us. Tanya got into law school. And that flash drive? The one with the Zoom clip? I keep it in my desk drawer. Not because I need it. Because it reminds me who I am. I'm not the intern. I'm not the support system. I'm not the one they forget. I'm the one they remember.